My hair is really frizzy.
I'm taking my time on my ride.
Hello everyone, it's the Buggy Cat here today, and today I'm on my couch. But today I'm going to be telling a story, and I'm probably not going to do a lot of story times, but this is a story that I just thought of the other day, and it was a painful experience. Literally painful experience, so I decided to share it with you guys. So basically, this all started out, I think this was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I can't really remember because I'm bad with years, but I remember the day exactly because there's this one girl who went to my school. I'll call her, I was gonna say Michelle, but there was actually a girl in my school called Michelle, so I'm gonna say Susan because there was nobody in my school, or in my grade at least, named Susan.
Well, that's actually a lie because I had a teacher named Susan, but I mean there were no kids in my grade named Susan. So this isn't about you, Miss Susan. You were a great teacher.
So Susan always had the best birthday parties, and there's nothing wrong with this girl. Like, she was super nice, so I just thought to respect her privacy, I'll use a different name. So she would always have the best parties. They'd be like Harry Potter themed. There was one that was dance themed, and I think it's actually this party was going to be dance themed. And I was so excited to go because you would go to her house and they would literally give you a persona. Like, they would give you a card and they'd be like, so this is your character for tonight or something. And it was always the best parties. So my mom and I were sitting on the couch because my dad was out of town and my brother was at a sleepover. So we were sitting on the couch watching TV, and I think it was like, I was supposed to leave at like 5 o'clock for this party, and it was probably like 4:15 or something. So we were about to get ready to go. And like, out of the blue, like, out of nowhere, my stomach just started hurting so bad. And it was like this sickening sort of pain, but it wasn't just like, ow, this is painful, I shall take some medicine. It was just like, I feel like if I move a certain way, I'm just gonna explode. So I went up to the bathroom because I was like, maybe bathroom time is what I need. And then I didn't need to, TMI, but I went back downstairs and I sat down, and all of a sudden I realized, I'm gonna throw up. So then I looked at my mom and I was like, I don't feel really good, and she was like, go to the bathroom. So I ran upstairs, and this is the part I remember the most, because I went to hit the light to like turn the light on because it was off, and then I missed the light because I was really dizzy, and I just hit the wall instead of the light switch, and then I turned around to hit the light, and then I turned around and started throwing up all over the toilet, and didn't pick it up, didn't throw up in a trash can, just all over the bathroom. And I felt so bad because, like, if you were like really, really young, it's like kind of understandable. It's just like, oh no, whoops. But this time I could have done something about it. And then as my mom was coming up the stairs, she was like, forget the light, I'll get the darn light, just go throw up in the toilet or the trash can, because our bathroom at the time was really small. So it was like toilet, trash can, just like pick one. But I just remember that being horrible. And then I just started projectile vomiting in the toilet this time, and then I would not stop vomiting. Like, as soon as I started throwing up, I was like, oh, I feel much better, and then 5 minutes later I'd get that horrible sickening feeling. 2 seconds later, throw up, and it would just be a loop of that for 5 hours, and that is not an exaggeration. I started throwing up around 4:30, and then I continued throwing up until like, I think it was about 9 or 10 p.m. by the time we decided to go to the hospital because there's probably something wrong. So at that time, my mom was supposed to drive to pick my brother up because she was supposed to drop me off at my party and go to my brother's friend's house to pick him up. But obviously that didn't happen, so my mom called my friend's mom and was like, she can't come, she's projectile vomiting. And then my mom called my brother's friend's dad and was like, so can you drop him off or keep him at your house because I kind of have to take her to the hospital. So then they dropped me off, and then I was just like dead on the couch because I was hugging a trash can. I was just like,
You nasty.
and I honestly thought I was gonna die that day because I didn't get sick often, except, fun fact, I'm allergic to the flu shot, so I don't get it anymore because either I'll get the flu naturally and it'll be chill, I'll be sick for a few days and it'll clear up, or I get the flu shot and I literally die for weeks. So this is the first year that happened, and then we realized I'm not getting the flu shot. And the first year I didn't get the flu shot, which was last year, I think, I was perfectly fine. So, doctors, what are you doing to me? But anyway, my brother and his friend came to our house. Like, my brother was just like, walked in, he was like, am I an only child now? But I was fine, just dying a little bit. And then my brother's friend wanted to come in the house just to see if I was dead or not. But then my mom was like, you're gonna catch something, get out. But then as soon as my brother got home, I forget if he was home alone or I think my neighbor might have come over and stayed with him or something. But then my mom and I drove to the hospital, and then it was super cold, so I was like wrapped in this winter jacket that was so bulky, and my mom was like, you're not catching a fever, even though I already had a fever. So I was just in the car like, I'm gonna die. And every so often I would throw up, but I hadn't eaten anything in 5 hours, so most of it I was just like, but not actually throwing up anything. So that was just the worst feeling ever, when it's just like, there's sometimes when you're sick and you'd rather just throw up, like just get it out. But when there's nothing to throw up, it's just kind of like, I'm just gonna explode. So that was a great time. And there's this hospital, well, where we used to live. There was a hospital about 10 to 20 minutes away from us, and it's not the best hospital, but it's like we needed a hospital. So we pulled into the emergency room, because like, where else are you gonna go? We walked in, and we sit down, and then that's my least favorite thing about hospitals, like there's a waiting room. Like I could have gotten 10 times more sick, or I could have gotten somebody else sick, and it's just like, I felt so bad. I just wanted to like keep to myself, and it's just like keep my sickness in one place. And then like after probably 30 minutes, it like felt like so long because I just wanted to be cured of my illness. This lady was like, number 36 or whatever we were. And then we walked up to the counter and she was like, so what's wrong with her? And I'm like, I'm dying over here. Do you not see me dry heaving into this bucket from IKEA? Like, can you not see I am dying? Give me some medicine. But then she was just like, okay, what's her name? Like, give all of her information and stuff. Then she's like, okay, so you're gonna go into that room over there. And then go from the reception counter to this little room where they like took my blood pressure and all this random stuff that had nothing to do with my sickness. But I guess they had to do it, so whatever. But then this lady was the meanest person I have ever encountered in my life. Because she was just like, what's wrong with her? And I'm just like, I'm dying. And then my mom was like, so she's been throwing up for like 5 or 6 hours straight. I think she needs some medicine or something. We just want to make sure she's not gonna die in 2 days. And then she was just like, why'd you bring her to the emergency room? And she was like, the doctor's office closed and she's been throwing up for 5 hours. Like, that's not normal. Like, throwing up is one thing, but it's like you throw up once and then you're good. It's just like 5 hours, man. 5 hours. That's a while if I say so myself. So then finally this lady figures out that there might be something wrong with me, so she takes us back into the actual hospital area and puts me in a bed. And then my mom sits down in this chair, and then she is dying. Like, she's not sick herself, but she is sick because her daughter is like about to die. She probably thought I had this illness where I was literally gonna just die on that bed. Like, that was my deathbed in a hospital, like a bad hospital at that. So there wasn't really much about this hospital that was horrible. Just like, my memories there aren't good, so I'm sorry. And then finally this nurse comes in, and then her accent killed me, because she would always say okay, but at the end of the sentence she'd be like, okay, like O-K-A-Y-M, like okay had an M now. She was just like, okay, so what we're gonna do here is I'm just gonna put an IV because you're very dehydrated and that's not good when you're throwing up, okay? It's not gonna hurt much, but we're just gonna do this real quick, so I'll be right back, okay? And I was just like, okay. Like, I didn't know how to respond because I wanted to laugh, but like I couldn't laugh. And then I was just kind of like, so, fun times. And then at one point I remember my mom was like having a panic attack because I was gonna die there. And then obviously I didn't actually die there, but the nurse comes over and she's just like, or I think she was like the doctor, and then she was just like, do you want a bed of your own? And she's like, I'm not leaving my daughter. You could be cutting her limb from limb and selling her organs on Craigslist for all I know. I'm staying in this room. And then they tried being the key word, to put an IV in my arm, and I literally still have scars from this. There's like a literal scar from where they tried to put the IV in and where they succeeded putting the IV in, because the lady comes over and then I have very hidden veins where you have to put an IV in, because on my wrist, you can see my veins so easily because I'm pale, but on my, like, wrist, not my wrist, on my, like, elbow crease thingy, where they put the little thing to show your veins easier, like, they were not showing up. They had to do an ultrasound on my arm, and then that was just like, I was just like, is my arm pregnant? Do you need to find out the gender of this baby? Like, okay. So then they finally figured out where my veins were. So then the lady was just like, okay, we're gonna get it in one day or another, okay? And I'm just like, ow, ow, what are you doing? Ow. And I'm pretty sure this is the first time I had gotten an IV besides when I was like a young baby. So then I was just kind of like, is this supposed to hurt that much? And my mom was furious. She was yelling at this nurse. And then finally, holy angel of Christ comes into the room, and he is the doctor in training. And he comes over, he's like, okay, let me look at this. Okay, whoop, sticks it right in, no pain whatsoever. And I'm like, can you get that doctor out of here and keep this doctor in training here, because he knows more than you. Like, he was the best doctor I've ever met, and like, he was the trained one, or he was the one in training. Like, I'm sorry, doctor, already in training, you're not supposed to be this bad. But then finally the IV was in my arm, and as soon as that holy juice from the IV came into my arm, I was feeling better already. But they still needed to give me some medicine to stop me from projectile vomiting my stomach and lungs out of my body. So then they give me this tiny cup of water, and I couldn't have any water for 6 hours, 7 hours. I think it was already midnight at this point, or past midnight. And at this time, the latest I stayed up was like 9 o'clock, so I was just like tired and sick and all this stuff. So then they give me this little pill, and it's just like this little white pill, and I had to swallow it. So they give me this tiny little cup of water, and I was like, I haven't had water in so long. And I was imagining this ice cold glass of Alaska water. Alaska water? I don't know. But then I take a sip of water and put the pill in my mouth, and then the water is literally hot. It's like gross and hot, and I'm just like, I did not need this. And then no matter what, I take the pill and I drink it, and then 20 minutes later I throw up the pill, so that's about great. But that's pretty much all I remember from that, because eventually I ended up sleeping, but then I didn't stay overnight there, which I kind of wanted to, because I thought I was gonna die. And I think it would have been better if I did, in case I did start throwing up again. But no, I went home around, if my memory serves me correctly, I think it was like 1 or 2 a.m., but I can't exactly remember that bit too much because I wasn't really paying attention to that. And then we finally got home, and then I was just like, I just passed out because I was so tired. And then that's literally all I remember from that story, because it feels like I was knocked out or something, because I was just throwing up for 10 million hours, and then I finally stopped throwing up, and that IV holy juice comes into my body, and then that made me feel better. Like, even though I have scars from that experience, I think it was worth it. But I think that's it for this story. Like, that was a crazy story, and I remember that vividly, and it was a horrible night. It was a horrible night. But I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. I might not do any more story times, but if I think of a cool story time from my past, then I shall tell you. But I don't want to become a storytime YouTuber. But if you guys enjoyed that, make sure to comment down below and like the video if you did like it, because that's a way to show me you liked it. That's it for this video. Boy! Oh God! Oh no! Oh, why did I decide to do that?
I've been thinking too much. Help me. I've been thinking too much.